This story begins with Chimi, a sweet student who absolutely cannot stand Yuki. Yuki, the same guy who's famous at school for his handsome looks, with girls lining up to take selfies with him and even asking for kisses. One night, while Yuki is out for a walk, a huge truck loses control. Just as it's about to hit him, he screams Chimi's name, and something strange happens. He suddenly transforms into a tiny little guy. He realizes he's completely naked. So to fix that, he grabs clothes from a teddy bear and covers himself. He starts looking for help, when suddenly a giant man walks by, almost stepping on him, because now, at only 15 centimeters tall, everything is dangerous. He tries to signal a bus to stop, but the driver doesn't see him. Then a menacing cat shows up and won't take its eyes off him. He plays dead. The cat pokes and rolls him around like he's food. But then, when Yuki least expects it, he jumps on the cat's back. The cat freaks out and starts running. As it takes a sharp turn, Yuki loses balance and flies off, landing toward a river filled with toxic waste. Luckily, he falls inside a cup floating on the water, turning it into a tiny boat. As he spots a bridge ahead, he paddles with all the strength he has left, screaming Chimi's name. Thanks to their childhood spiritual bond, Chimi hears something in the distance and senses he's in danger. Yuki sees a girl riding an electric scooter and secretly hops on the back. The scooter is going really fast, and as soon as they hit a pothole, Yuki falls off. Dust from the road flies into his face. His legs are bare, so the fall hurts a lot. Just then, a car almost runs him over. It's like luck itself has turned against him, and he's about to give up when suddenly he sees Chimi. He shouts her name loudly. Chimi looks around, but sees no one. Then she glances down and is shocked to see that Yuki has shrunk to a tiny size. She picks him up on her palm to see him clearly. Yuki explains everything to her, how he was about to die and somehow ended up this small. Chimi talks about taking him to a hospital, but Yuki immediately refuses because ever since his mother died of cancer, he's been terrified of hospitals. So Chimi searches online to find out what to do with such a tiny human being. But just then, a strong gust of wind starts to lift Yuki into the air, and Chimi quickly grabs him, otherwise they both would have fallen straight to the ground. Then Yuki sneezes loudly and Chimi realizes he's sick. So she quickly decides to put him in her purse and take him home. But the stuff inside the bag starts crushing Yuki, and the poor guy feels like throwing up. Somehow, Chimi reaches home and pretends everything is normal, not telling her family anything. She takes Yuki to her room and brings him a cup filled with warm water. Yuki uses the cup like a mini bathtub and freshens up. Chimi tells him he can stay at her place, but only on one condition: he shouldn't cause any trouble or touch her stuff. Yuki says he has nothing to wear and no place to sleep. That's when Chimi gets an idea. She brings out her old dollhouse and offers it as a place for Yuki to stay. To dress him, she picks out some doll clothes. As soon as Yuki puts one on, Chimi can't stop laughing. Angry, Yuki says, "Don't make fun of me or I'll take all the clothes off." Chimi finds him even cuter now and takes adorable selfies with him. Then she starts teasing him, lightly touching and joking around, which slowly begins to irritate Yuki because he feels completely helpless now. Suddenly, he hides as Chimi's mom enters the room. Seeing Chimi talking alone, her mom is surprised. So Chimi quickly pretends she was praying. Her mom asks what she wants for dinner. At that moment, Yuki's stomach growls loudly, and Chimi realizes she has to feed him too. She pulls out a small bowl and cuts huge chunks of noodles, which look like monsters to tiny Yuki. Later, Yuki doesn't like the dollhouse and says he wants to sleep near Chimi. She makes a tiny blanket out of tissue for him, and he falls asleep beside her. Lying together, they remember the old days when they used to be close friends. Before the fight, in the morning, their eyes open at different levels, but their hearts are one. As soon as the vacuum cleaner turns on, Yuki feels like he's caught in a cyclone and clings tightly to a pole to avoid being sucked in. Meanwhile, Chimi runs home straight from school to find Yuki sitting sadly in a corner. She apologizes, and Yuki nervously says her mom looked like a Godzilla. Now he's scared of humans. Chimi realizes she can't leave him alone because Yuki is now so small that even the tiniest thing could be fatal. Together, they create survival rules. Yuki will never go near heights, and whenever someone enters the room, he'll pretend to be dead. Then Yuki insists on going outside, so Chimi puts him in her pocket, right next to her heart. Yuki feels like the luckiest man alive. But then he feels a weird kind of touch, and Chimi quickly says, "If that hand goes even slightly to the wrong place, just remember, there'll be a volcano." Then they go to the bench where they had spent many moments together. But Yuki becomes restless because an eagle is circling above, and he feels like death is hovering over him. Chimi reassures him that she will protect him. Then they both wonder, is it even possible for a big and small person to kiss? Yuki gets a little nervous but says it would just be a test. They agree to try, and the two share a kiss. But it feels super strange because her lips are much bigger, and his face ends up covered in saliva. He says her lips are as sweet as honey, and returns home happy. Later, his basketball coach asks where he's been, and he explains that he went on a trip. She doesn't trust him. When they get to school, Chimi runs into the coach, who gets serious and asks where she's hiding Yuki, since he wouldn't just run away, especially with an important basketball game coming up. Chimi stays silent, but the coach pressures her to tell the truth. Chimi simply asks her to trust her, and places her hand on her heart. There's a truth in her eyes that Yuki can see from where he is. His heart fills with even more love for her, but then he starts slipping from her pocket and struggles to climb back in. Before the teacher can find out, Yuki apologizes to Chimi for making her lie, but her mind is still filled with the teacher's words. With a hint of jealousy, she says, "Looks like that teacher is in love with you." Yuki denies it at first, but then he remembers the way the teacher looked at him in class. He starts to realize there might be some truth to it. In the school scene, Yuki sees a basketball lying on the court, which a teacher accidentally throws in their direction. Chimi quickly steps aside and avoids it, but Yuki scolds her. "Why are you being so careless?" Suddenly, Yuki sneezes loudly, and the teacher thinks Chimi is mocking her. Chimi makes an excuse, saying the sound came from her shoes. Then she warns Yuki, "If you make even one more sound, we'll both be kicked out of school." But Yuki is in rebel mode. He tries to come out of the pocket, and Chimi, annoyed, lightly smacks his head and says nervously, "Be quiet!" Yuki, in hunger mode, says, "I'm starving, for food and for a kiss." Chimi immediately yells, "I can tolerate the food part, but forget the kiss." All the students around turn to look at her in shock. Chimi quickly sticks her fingers into her pocket, trying to calm him down. But Yuki, angry, bites her finger. Her friend starts getting suspicious about her behavior. During break time, Chimi takes him to a peaceful spot. Yuki reads a sweet love note from Chimi's mom and says, "I feel jealous seeing you. You have such a lovely family. After my mom passed away, I stopped talking to my dad too." Just then, Chimi's friend shows up and Yuki mentally curses her. He literally jumps in frustration. Chimi realizes that now the path to Yuki's heart runs through her hands. His feelings are now out of control. Their souls start feeling a deep connection. After that, the two spend time together. Chimi encourages him, and they go on a couple's ride, the same one they had gone on before. The ride spins so fast that Yuki starts feeling dizzy while sitting in her pocket. Then he sees some girls carrying small cardboard idols, and Chimi gets an idea. She plans to make Yuki look like a cardboard statue so they can go on an open date together. Yuki sits still like a statue. But just then a few girls come up and say, "Your doll is so cute." Chimi lunges at them and speaks so sharply that the girls think she's crazy and run away. After the danger passes, Yuki looks into her eyes and says, "Out of all the girls in the world, you're the most beautiful." Chimi blushes deeply. She wishes he were big too, and that thought touches her heart. Then they share another kiss, this time to test their love. Yuki feels like he's floating in a cloud of love. He says, "No matter how small I am, our relationship is official." Then, slightly annoyed, he says, "So grant me one more wish." Later, Chimi tells her basketball friends that Yuki feels very sorry he couldn't play with them, but he's giving them his full support. The team regains confidence, and Chimi feels happy. When they return home, Chimi feels like her room is getting smaller. She goes into a corner to change clothes, while Yuki secretly catches a glimpse of her and gets overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Yuki's father shows up at Chimi's house, feeling gloomy and asking for a beer. Her family offers him food, and old memories resurface, how he and Chimi's family used to be good friends. His father always thought that Yuki likes her. She blushes, and his mother says they should get married, which makes Chimi beg for silence, dying of embarrassment. While he just wants to scream that he likes her, his father asks her to take care of his son, and it's revealed that the real reason for their bad relationship is that his father allowed his wife to be used in an experimental treatment because of her illness, something Yuki has never forgiven. Yuki cries, remembering his mother, and Chimi gives him gentle pats to comfort him. She spends so much time alone that her mother gets worried. When she walks in, she finds Chimi talking to herself. But in reality, she's talking to a little fabric figure she made to look like Yuki. Her mother thinks she's lost her mind and contacts a psychologist. Meanwhile, Chimi and Yuki take a bath together, and she adds mineral salts to the water so it's not transparent. Yuki tries to peek at her body, so she counters by moving close to his cup, and he covers himself, calling her a pervert. Later, she goes down to the kitchen and discovers each family member holding a little doll, because they all believe she made a Yuki doll out of longing for him. So she goes along with it to spend more time with Yuki. One day at school, someone throws a basketball at Chiyomi, which could have crushed Yuki. But Chiyomi quickly saves him, trembling with anger. She throws the ball back, because hurting Yuki feels like a sin to her heart. But Yuki isn't one to sit quietly either. When Chiyomi talks to another boy, he keeps pulling at her leg. Then Kyosuke finds out Yuki has gone missing. He confronts Chiyomi, saying, "This is all nonsense. I'll never leave you alone." But Chiyomi snaps back at him, and her bold attitude makes him even more obsessed with her. Yuki is now braver than ever. He asks Chiyomi out on a date, and they go to a romantic bar, where couples share drinks using the same straw. Yuki feels a little down because his size doesn't allow him to do any of that. But then, Chiyomi places her hand over his heart, and Yuki gently places his tiny palm over hers. There's a certain magic in that touch that gives them the greatest happiness in the world, because now they understand that true love has no size. Chiyomi's friend is surprised how she can be so happy even after Yuki has gone missing. But Chiyomi doesn't tell her anything. As they walk outside, one of Yuki's friends says he really misses him. That's when Yuki realizes there are many people besides Chiyomi who love him and are deeply hurt by his disappearance. Hearing this, he starts stirring in Chiyomi's pocket, and the boy thinks Chiyomi's heart is beating for him. But Chiyomi quickly clears it up, saying, "My love is only for Yuki." Yuki now wants to know what really happened to him, how he ended up so small. Searching for that answer is like heading straight into a storm. In his final moments, all he was thinking about was Chiyomi, and maybe it was the power of that love that pulled him back from death. But such a miracle didn't come without a price. He now begins to feel like he's slowly fading from this world, but he hides this truth from Chiyomi, because the biggest basketball final of his life is about to happen. During the match, their team is losing. Yuki shares a plan about who should do what, and when Chiyomi communicates his strategy to the players, the team makes an incredible comeback and wins. But the coach grows suspicious, and that's when the real battle for love begins. Chiyomi says, "If Yuki loved you, he'd be with you, not with me." The coach snaps back, "You're a terrible girlfriend." These words break Chiyomi's heart. Tears well up in her eyes, but Yuki comforts her, saying, "You're the most wonderful girlfriend in the whole universe." He promises her that he'll always be good to her. But fate has something else in store. Suddenly, a boy on a bike snatches Chiyomi's bag and rides off. Chiyomi screams, but the boy is too fast. As soon as she looks away, he tosses the bag into a corner. Yuki, barely conscious, tumbles out, and that's when he encounters another tiny girl named Nami. Yuki is shocked. Are there others like me in this strange world? Nami says, "No, it's just us," and calls a huge man who greets them, and it turns out he's the girl's husband. He puts Yuki in his pocket, and because he's distracted, Yuki hits his face. Meanwhile, Chiyomi finds her bag lying on the ground and searches for Yuki there, but without success, because Nami had taken him to her house near the sea. Yuki says his life is full of danger, and Nami says she also struggles being small, but her husband makes things easier for her. Yuki speaks very highly of Chiyomi, and says he's lucky to have her by his side. Nami explains that we can't live alone, we have to trust the people around us. Then Yuki asks if she knows why they became small, and she becomes very serious. She says it's to heal wounds and resolve unfinished commitments with the people we love before we die. Yuki then asks, "If I'm dead, why do I feel so alive?" And she explains that in 1 week he will die. He says goodbye to her, afraid. At that moment, Chiyomi finally finds him and feels infinite relief seeing his cute little eyes. She holds him to her chest, where her heart beats for him, and says if he disappeared, she would die too. Just then, they find out that today is the festival of the autumn season in their village, a time when teenage couples come together to celebrate their future. Now that they've reached the age where love becomes life's sweetest truth, they decide that even if Yuki is tiny, they'll go to the festival together. Chiyomi herself sews a cute little outfit for Yuki. Kyosuke shows up and compliments her, saying she looks beautiful in anything she wears. Then someone asks her, "Are you and Yuki a couple?" Chiyomi smiles and replies, "The shape of my heart doesn't match any other boy." She goes upstairs to spend some quiet time alone with Yuki, but her dad catches them and is shocked to see the tiny Yuki. He thinks it must all be a dream and spends the whole day lost in thought. Meanwhile, Chiyomi and Yuki lie down next to each other. Yuki says being with her is the most fun ever. Chiyomi pulls him close to her body, where he feels the safest of all. But there's a yearning in Yuki's heart. He just wishes he could hug Chiyomi, but his small size holds him back. On the other hand, her father secretly tries to peek in on them, so Chiyomi runs off to school. At school, Yuki wants to kiss her, but it's impossible with people around. So Chiyomi slips him into her bag and gives him a big kiss, so intense that it leaves spit all over his face. During the festival, Yuki finds out he only has 1 week left, but he hides it from Chimi because he wants her to stay happy. That night, under the stars, Yuki pours out all his feelings. He says he's loved her for years. Every time I see you, my heart shakes like an earthquake. Chimi gives him a sweet kiss. Yuki expresses his wish to see his family one last time. He's so happy that, for the first time, he steps out of the pocket on his own, but then, Chimi's dad sees him, and is so shocked that his nose starts bleeding. Chimi quickly hides Yuki. As they're about to spend a sweet, passionate night together, Chimi's little brother shows up, saying he had a nightmare and insists on sleeping with her. Yuki doesn't like it, but when he gets the chance, he sneaks into the bed too, and in their dreams, they're together again. The next morning, Chimi gives him a tiny candy floss. But while lovingly feeding him, she ends up making a sticky mess, which annoys Yuki. Just then, Chimi's real father enters the house and demands money in front of everyone. He threatens that if he doesn't get it, he'll sell the restaurant that's under his name. Grandma quietly takes out an envelope with money and hands it over, asking him to leave for good. Chimi watches this from a corner, the pain clear in her eyes. Then her teacher knocks on the door but enters without waiting for permission, trying to find a clue about Yuki, but finds nothing. She ends up blaming Chimi for all her misfortunes, saying that if Chimi didn't exist, Yuki would have been her boyfriend. Furious, Chimi tells her to leave the room. That's when Yuki appears and firmly says that the woman means nothing to him. To prove their love, Chimi and Yuki go on a karaoke date. They sing a romantic song together. The next day, Kiyosuke gives Chimi a dress he personally designed, and Chimi begins to show some interest in him. Yuki now feels maybe he and Chimi don't have a future. They won't be able to go to university together or have children, and the thought makes him even sadder. When he shares this with Chimi, she says, "If we need to, we'll adopt." Then jokingly threatens, "If you keep talking nonsense, I'll slap you." But behind her laughter, a harsh truth hides. Yuki softly tells her that in 1 week, he will disappear from this world. At first, Chimi doesn't understand. Then Yuki reveals that he shrank himself so he could spend his last few days with her. That was his biggest wish. Hearing this, Chimi breaks down completely and sobs uncontrollably. The next morning, she wakes up with a serious expression, but Yuki reminds her, "Let's spend these last days not in sorrow, but with smiles." Then they go to the site of the original accident. Chimi says she wishes she could shrink like Yuki so they could stay together forever. Suddenly, Chimi deliberately steps onto the road. She just wants to die with Yuki. A truck speeds toward her. But the truck swerves, and she's saved. Then Yuki pats her and explains, life is far more precious than death. He makes her promise that she will live. He realizes that if he dies, he'll be able to see his mom again, the one he loved more than anyone. So now, he sees these last few days as a gift from life, to spend with the girl who means everything to him. He sings a beautiful song about love and God. While singing, he looks only at her. Later they go to Yuki's dad's house. There, Yuki records a video where he apologizes for years of resentment. His dad watches it and becomes emotional. Then Yuki steps out of his hiding place. At first, his father thinks it's a hallucination, but when he touches him, he realizes, this really is my son. They share their feelings, forget their past fights, and his father thanks him for raising himself so well and going to the school where he met Chimi. Chimi quietly leaves them alone so the father and son can talk openly. Just then, as the father puts down his beer glass on the table, a small earthquake-like tremor shakes the room. Looks like Yuki falls into that glass. Somehow he manages to climb out, wipes himself with a tissue, and the bond between father and son grows deeper than ever. In that moment, Yuki sincerely thanks Chimi from the bottom of his heart. Then he calls his entire family into the kitchen and says he has something very important to show them. Suddenly, Yuki appears in front of everyone. His grandma almost faints, and the whole family is in shock, not knowing what to say. But once things settle a bit, they start to accept him, because now they truly believe that Chimi genuinely loves him. The family even serves him a small meal, and Grandma says, he's so sweet. Everyone asks her to calm down. Just then, when everyone's mood is at its best, a part of Yuki's body starts to slowly disappear. That means he has very little time left. Chimi gets scared, but to lighten the mood, Yuki jokingly says, my favorite part of my body? My hairline. Because whenever I hugged Chimi, that was the part closest to her, and hugging her was my favorite thing in the whole world. By now, Chimi has truly become a part of the family. Her little brother jokes, hey, I heard you kissing in your room. But Chimi denies it, lying. Her mom, however, says with a straight face, What's there to be shy about kissing? I kiss my husband multiple times a day. Everyone bursts into laughter. And Mom turns serious and says, the most important thing is that my daughter and Yuki make an amazing couple. Yuki may be small in size, but together, they'll overcome anything. But no one knows that Yuki doesn't have much time left. He regrets hiding the truth from everyone. A few days later, when the guilt becomes unbearable, he finally tells Chimi the scary truth. At the same time, Yuki's father doesn't sit still. He starts looking for a solution, and eventually finds a doctor willing to examine Yuki. The doctor isn't shocked. He accepts Yuki's small form and performs a full scan. Chimi's fingers are trembling. But her father holds her hand and says, "Sweetheart, I don't want to lose my child again, like I lost my wife." After the tests, a heartbreaking truth comes out. Yuki's body is completely hollow inside. Only his heart remains, and even that is beating slowly. He now survives solely on one thing, the love of his family, and most of all, Chimi's love. Hearing this breaks Chimi's heart. But her mom encourages her to stay strong. Yuki decides to come in front of his classmates and tell them he was never really gone. Everyone is overjoyed to see him again. He encourages them by saying, "Even without me, you guys will be the best at basketball." Their strict teacher even apologizes to Chimi and admits, Yuki's true love has always been Chimi. Now that all secrets are out, Yuki and Chimi want to fulfill their love. They go to that romantic hotel suite they had dreamed of since childhood. There, they plan a beautiful night together. They begin undressing, and just for a moment Yuki becomes big again, and in that very moment, they finally live their true love. Afterward, they go to their special bench, the one where Yuki first realized he loved Chimi. There, Chimi says for the first time, "I love you." And Yuki replies, "I love you with all my heart." He tells her that he'll always remember her. Then, in his final breath, he shouts, "I love you, and I love you 1,000,000 times more." And in that very moment, his purpose in this world is fulfilled, and he disappears. Chimi feels like her heart has shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. She tells her family that Yuki is gone. For days, she just cries. But then one day, she realizes, even if he's no longer in her life, whenever she feels sad or has a bad day, Yuki is watching over her from the sky, protecting her. And even though they couldn't build a family, Yuki is reborn in her memories as a guardian angel who always looks after her and constantly reminds her that Chimi was his one true love.